so I'm looking for the guy he was talking about. Thank you very much for inviting me here today. Dean Jordan, Dean Ricard, entire student body, staff, faculty of the Art Institute of California, Orange County, thank you very much for having me here today. So I must admit, in my preparations for today, I did Google what makes a good commencement speech. And what I found is commencement speeches are supposed to give a lot of sage advice, empower you to go out and do great things. I saw a list of recommended topics I could share with you to make you better people. But what I realized is I cannot make you a better person, no matter how good my speech is. Because you are the only person that can make you a better person. And for that, I can offer you one piece of advice. I want to share something with you today that has taken me a long time to fully understand and has helped me become the person I am today. And my one piece of advice is to become a student of yourself. Come to know yourself. Socrates said, know thyself, and to me that means come to understand your values, your beliefs, your personality, your vision, your mission, and why they are yours. If you spend the time coming to understand yourself, you will bring more value to everything with which you involve yourself in your life. Now, I'm a student of history, and history has taught me that what lies behind us will soon lie ahead of us, because tomorrow you will also see that, because tomorrow you will all become freshmen again. Tomorrow you will begin your life's next chapter, and you will start at the bottom of something and work your way back up to being a senior again. And there's a lot of numbers floating around out there, but it's safe to say most of you will have more than 10 jobs in your career, and that does not include your volunteer, community, and civic activities. Now, these episodes will continue through your lives like chapters in a book, and in every chapter there's a clear beginning, there's learning, and if we're fortunate, there's mastery at the end. And the better you know yourself, the better you understand why you're passionate about some values and not others, the better you understand how you react in certain situations, your strong points, your weak points, your hot buttons, the better you will be, and the more value you will bring to your family, your teams, your community, and your passions. So why is this message important to you today? Well, it's important for you because in your next chapter, you may not have that established support structure around you. Moving forward in your life, the framework which supports you, the direction and goals you choose, and the way in which you play the game will all be determined by you. And so I want to tell you today and share this information with you because I know the importance of starting on the best path. I know how hard it is to change paths, habits, influences, perceived value, and self-images. Now, during my life, I have traveled across the world and back, literally, 4 times. And in those times, I learned about the world, the culture, its people. But what I did not learn about was myself. I did not recognize the value I brought to my environment, and I did not value my own worth or my opinions. I lacked self-confidence, and for years, I felt like I was playing catch-up. Now, I was a shy, quiet kid. My dad was in the military, and throughout my childhood, we moved 11 times from military base to military base, and in every one of them, we struggled to survive. Emphasis would always seem to be on family survival and adaptation versus on me and my studies and my success. I learned to blend in, master the art of getting by, stay just far enough away from friends to make the hurt of goodbye not sting so bad. And through my childhood, I came to feel like I was behind somehow. Like I would always be struggling to survive and to catch up. And it may sound funny, but that's what I felt. And I think there's others that feel that way as well. And it took me almost 43 years to understand myself fully. And in those 43 years, I had served 8 years in the United States Submarine Service. I moved from being, thank you very much. I moved from being the junior maintenance worker to the chief maintenance engineer in a large manufacturing facility. I completed undergraduate degrees in both business management and nuclear engineering. I became a licensed Six Sigma black belt, project management professional, and change management professional. I started and sold multiple businesses. I was awarded a U.S. patent, and I became a father. And I was in my first year of graduate school, and I still felt like I needed to catch up. Now, in my graduate school program, I was focused on leadership, and the first 5 courses were really on understanding yourself. So these courses concentrated on understanding your beliefs, your values, your cultures, influences, brains, personalities, habits. And then all these classes culminated into a class called your leadership point of view. And according to this leadership theory, you cannot lead others effectively if you do not truly understand who you are, because we all see the world differently through all the lenses and filters that our past and our history puts on us. So in this culminating class, we had to combine all this information on ourselves into an oral presentation on who we are as leaders and why we became that way. Well, I never had before been required to do this type of self-analysis, and it was very difficult for me. So my 5-minute presentation turned into a 28-minute rambling soliloquy. But I verbalized it all. I got it all out on the table, the facts, the history, the perceptions, and my feelings. And when I finished, through the awestruck stares of all of my classmates, I felt a calmness and a clarity come about me. And from that point forward, I had a much clearer focus and better understanding of me. And with this better understanding came improved interactions, leadership ability, and quality of life. And I want you to know that finding yourself is a process, and you can start this now. And as you progress through this, you will live a richer and truer life. Now, if you think I'm the first person to go through this, you'd be mistaken. Most successful people, and pick your definition of successful, will go through some self-discovery process. I just finished a book on my favorite president, Teddy Roosevelt, called Mornings on Horseback by David McCullough. And here McCullough goes through and describes Teddy's childhood and early professional years. And at the end of the book, Teddy's on a train. He's returning from the Dakota Badlands, where he just had his ranch wiped out by the winter of 1886, which was devastating, as you surely know. He'd already lost both of his parents, his first wife, Alice, and essentially his brother. He was a sort of gentleman drifter. He was Harvard-educated, well-traveled, and principled. He dabbled in law, investing, ranch, writing, and politics. And on the train, at this crossroads of his life, he was riding with a reporter who asked him, "What will you do next?" And Teddy mused for a bit as he'd been thinking about this himself. And then his moment of clarity hit him, and the reporter saw it. He felt it. And Teddy replied, "I think I shall return to politics." And the reporter simply smiled and said, "Then you shall be president." The book ended here, and it left me in kind of a distressed state, so I flipped through and saw in the author's postscript notes that he never intended to tell the whole story. He only intended to give us the facts and the background on what built the character of Teddy Roosevelt. That was the story. Teddy Roosevelt realizing who he was. And once he realized who he was, he came into his own and could bring his true values to the world. He ran for mayor of New York City, then he became its police commissioner, became the governor of New York, the assistant secretary of the Navy, the tax commissioner, the creator and leader of the Rough Riders, the vice president, and then the 26th president of the United States. He received the Nobel Peace Prize, he built the Panama Canal, he built the Great White Fleet, and he championed many huge efforts in conservation in our national park systems. It's quite a stream of focusness. Now, since completing my graduate program and finding myself, I too have changed the course of my life. When I began to understand who I was, I realized the extent of my passion for the military and its children. I realized my strengths in strategy and leadership and solving big problems. I realized that I was the better planner than executor. I realized that I delegate and manage better than I can follow through with my own tasks. I realized that I also could be easily perceived as being aloof. I realized that I talked more than I listened. And I realized I didn't show enough emotion for people to actually connect with me. And when I became of who I was and why, then I was free to change my path, one from catching up to one of providing value. And knowing myself gave me the courage to quit my job and the confidence to follow my passion. And I became the leader of a fledgling nonprofit and dedicated myself to helping our young military and veteran families when they got into crisis. And because I did this last year, Support the Enlisted Project has been able to serve 785 young military and veteran families that came to us in financial crisis this year alone. We were able to give them $385,000 in emergency financial grants to prevent, among other things, 108 utility disconnections, 102 auto repossessions, and 82 housing evictions right here in Southern California. Now that may not measure up to Teddy's standards, but I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, so are you. So are you. So be a lifelong student of yourself, know yourself, and work to better yourself, because that knowledge is the largest asset you will ever be able to transfer from your life chapter to your life chapter, vastly improving your ability to increase the value you bring to this world. And I will conclude with some words from my favorite president, Teddy Roosevelt, where he says, "Get action. Do things. Be sane. Don't fritter away your time. Create. Act. Take a place wherever you are. And be somebody." Thank you very much, and congratulations.